This quick flip is going to change the game for everything you know about restoring wood. So if you're used to working with oil-based stains, this is going to blow your mind as we restore this $15 table in less than 24 hours using paint. If you've ever wanted to try the paint wash effect, I'm here to show you. Let's get started. Picked up for just $15 at a consignment store, this charming mid-century modern round coffee table had plenty of wear and tear but was made of solid wood with some wood veneer. Wood veneer just means that top layer is real wood applied over another wood layer. So when sanding veneer, you have to be really careful. If you sand too deep, you'll expose some of the underlying layer, making it really difficult to stain. Some spots on this table already appeared to have veneer damage, but for me, restoring vintage furniture means embracing the character these pieces develop over time. After all, they come with a history, and that adds to their charm. I used my Surf Prep sander for this project, a professional grade sander that not only collects dust as it works, but it also comes with a variety of sanding pads designed to glide smoothly over curves. I spent 6 years working on furniture before investing in one, and I definitely wish I'd bought it sooner. So if you're interested, there's a 10% off link in using my code in the description below. That said, a standard sander works just fine as well. I used one for 6 years. Just grab some quality sanding pads to attach to it. For the legs, I start with a 150 grit, but for the tabletop, I realized I needed something coarser to tackle the damage, so I went lower. Always start with the higher grit and work your way down if needed. Once you go to a lower grit, you'll need to gradually work back up through all the in-between grits to avoid a rough finish. I also decided to refinish the base because it had a lot of discoloration, a lot of old varnish and stain. Some areas required hand sanding, and for that I used Gator sandpaper at 80 grit. It's tough, but it gets the job done. Just remember to wear gloves and always wear a PPE approved mask when sanding. I've linked all my supplies in the description below. After using the 80 grit on the base, I progressed to 100 grit, then 120, 150, and finally 180 to get it smooth again. It might feel smooth by your hand, but just trust me, you are not seeing the microscopic mountains that are going to get raised up whenever you place stain or paint on them. I followed a similar process for the top, starting at 100 grit. Here's a real-time video of the sanding process, which is where the bulk of the time goes. Don't rush it. After sanding, I use a damp towel to wipe down the top, legs, and base, ensuring that all the surfaces are dust-free and prepped for paint. It's essential to clean everything thoroughly before moving to the next step. If you're going to be using a stain, you're going to want to use mineral spirits to also wipe down the table. Now for the fun part. I mentioned that this was a quick flip, and here's why. Water-based products dry much faster than oil-based ones. I was on a tight timeline because I was about to undergo surgery to donate a kidney to a friend of mine, so I needed to finish up all my projects beforehand. I had a little bit of Dixie Belle's mineral paint in the color sand left over in my garage. To stretch it, I mixed in some of Dixie Belle's Saltwater and Rattan by Lily Moon, which is also a mineral-based paint. I thinned the mixture with about 10 parts water. This isn't an exact science like epoxy. If it's too thick, just add more water, and if it's too thin, just mix in more paint. The key is to mix everything thoroughly so that the paint wash is smooth and consistent without streaks or uneven patches. Now, it is as easy as it sounds. Use a good paintbrush, apply the paint wash directly onto the bare wood. How long you let it sit really depends on your local conditions, humidity, temperature, elevation all play into the role. The time that I was doing this, it was literally pouring rain, so the humidity was high. It was going to take forever to dry, so I was able to do like this entire bottom before I went and wiped it off. So once it has soaked into the wood grain for a few minutes or longer, take a shop cloth or paper towel and wipe it off. For a lighter effect, you can use a damp cloth, which will remove more paint from the surface. Always wipe in the direction of the wood grain, just like you painted on in the direction of the wood grain. If the color isn't as white or beige as you want, just add in another layer of the wash. let it sit on a bit longer, and then wipe off less paint for more coverage. It's a simple process that delivers beautiful, natural-looking wood results. The top of the table is really where I let a lot of the paint sit on and did multiple layers because of the damage that was done. A lot of it wasn't coming out even, so there's a few spots in the wood I was hoping to make more uniform, but unfortunately the character, we're just gonna call it character at this point, it's gonna stay with the table. And so I did a few extra layers just to lighten it up and give it that really soft beige wash, make sure that the grain showed through, making sure that it looked like the wood is restored now, and then wiped it down and made sure that it was all uniform. I went around the rim of the table because that's how that wood grain went, and then went back and forth very softly with a cloth. I use Polycrylic whenever I am sealing in a piece that I have used anything water-based on. So Polycrylic is a water-based polyurethane. Now, don't let that confuse you. Polyurethane is urethane-based, so it's oil-based, and it's used to seal oil-based paints. If you put a polyurethane over a water-based paint, it's going to turn it yellow, and it's not going to adhere, and it's going to just look really, really funky. So please don't make that mistake. Water goes with water, oil goes with oil. So in this case, I'm using the Blue Can by Minwax, and this is a satin polycrylic finish. I'm using my Wagner Flexio 5000 to apply this. It is so easy to apply. I make sure that I strain it with my micron strainers. Make sure those are in your shopping cart because those are magical. And then I put it through my sprayer at about half power, and it flows on so smoothly. I put 2 to 3 layers typically on the tops of my tables and 2 on the bases or legs of them. Before the last coat of polycrylic, I'm going to give you guys a little tip. I take a 320 grit sandpaper and I fold it into thirds, and I take it and I lightly rub it with the wood grain along my tabletops. Now, I do this on my dining room tabletops, I do this on coffee tables, I do this on anywhere where there's going to be a surface that people are going to touch and run their hand over. It is going to feel buttery smooth after you do this. So you wipe it with that 320 grit. You wipe it off with a shop cloth or a tack cloth that's stickier that pulls everything off, and then you give it one more thicker layer of your spray coat, let that dry, and your piece is completely finished and it is butter smooth on the top. Typically with spraying, you're going to spray lighter coats, and so it dries a lot faster. So about after an hour, I can go and check it, and if it is dried thoroughly, then I can go and give it another layer. So this is why I was able to do this so quickly. So this piece was started about mid-morning and it was finished by the next mid-morning, and guess what? I get to show you next how to put it through AI, get some fantastic pictures so that you can sell this. Let me give you a quick rundown, and this is what I showed on social media and people were blown away. Let me know your thoughts on this table. What are you guys doing to get ready for fall? What is your favorite color to decorate for fall? Drop some comments below. Let me know if you like this video by subscribing to my channel and watching some more of my furniture flips. I'll see you guys next week.